Do you want to win a free cookbook? Do you want to ask questions of one of the hottest chefs in the country right now? Do you want to know all about the delicious glory that's in this beautiful, fun, and funky cookbook? Of course you do. Welcome to Cookbooks with Virginia. My name is Virginia Wilis. I'm a chef and cookbook author based out of Atlanta, Georgia. And each and every week, I visit with some of the top cookbook authors in the country. And I am so excited about today's guest. It's Deborah Van Trece, friend, chef in Atlanta, great restaurant. She's got this awesome new book. And if you're not catching this live, you're still going to read all about it. She was fresh on the Today Show just this morning. You're going to be seeing her everywhere if you haven't seen her. And she's certainly recognizable. Deborah, I love your look. And here you are. Welcome to Cookbooks with Virginia. Thank you for joining me today.
Hey, Virginia. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so glad. Oh, well, I have to tell everybody. So one of the things, you've always got this great look, this awesome, powerful look about you. I love your hair and your glasses, and you're just like awesome, right? And I love that. And yesterday I played an April Fool's joke, and I did this app photo, and it made my hair blue. And half the people were like, a third of the people were like, April Fools. A third of the people were like, did you do it? Was it April Fool's? I think they weren't certain. They know I'm just crazy enough. And then a third of the people were like, oh, yay, it looks great. Go you. So I did it as a joke, but man, it's like that power that you have with your look and your strength and stuff. And it's like, now I'm like, well, hell, let's go down my hair blue.
Blue might be a good color for you.
The whole thing I say about stuff like that is it'll wash out, it'll grow out. Like it's not like
it's not permanent,
right?
No.
But you got to feel good. Now so speaking of color, of these bold colors, this is Deborah's new cookbook, and y'all, that cover says it.
Yeah, it does.
It's bright and bold and funky. And it just makes me want to smile looking at it. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Virginia. I appreciate that.
Oh my gosh. So y'all, Deborah's got this great restaurant in Atlanta, Twisted Soul Cookhouse and Pours. But your circuitous route to being this nationally famous chef now is pretty interesting, because you've got global flavors going on. Will you talk a little bit to everybody about, you've got, so on one page, you've got, candied duck wings with apple cranberry mostarda, and then you got Nashville hot turkey. You got chicken wings and adobo and arrabbiata spaghetti. This is not like, if someone said soul food, I don't know that they would have thought of the word arrabbiata. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Yeah, so the book reflects my life and all the traveling I've done. I've had the ability to live in different countries, which has been wonderful, and be submerged into the culture, not really understanding, at the point it was happening, what a great gift it was, and it still remains a great gift whenever I can travel, but actually living and submerging yourself in the culture gives you a whole new perspective on food. And what I noticed was some of the similarities in ingredients that I grew up with, and I grew up eating traditional soul food, but some of those ingredients were mirrored in places I visited all over the world, and then just the feeling of comfort that you get, when you're dining in someone's home, especially like on just a Tuesday, Wednesday evening, you just happen to drop by. And, that warmth, those memories, are the things that affect our soul. They feed us. Yeah. And for me, that's what soul food is about. It's about, this great fellowship and memories, that food brings to us and dining brings to us. So, I try to put a little bit of that in this cookbook, and, hope people feel it. I hope they feel it all.
No, and I think that they have. And you've got, someone was asking me, well, let's see who's here first, and then I'm going to dive into the book a little bit more. We've got Debbie Loftus here and Cheryl Stewart. And Debbie said she liked the blue. Hey. And Yvette Barton is here. That's awesome. And Dana And honey, you can always count on my mama coming to take me. She's excited. She told me to make sure that I was going to bring this book for her to take a look at. So
oh, cool.
I think that you're completely right about, I've said for a long time, like with my first cookbook, Bon Appetit, y'all, country French cooking and country Southern cooking is not that different.
No,
right?
It's not.
And I think that when you go to any cuisine that came from a place of want or need, right? Had less than, then you got the bits and the pieces and every last bit. And it doesn't matter if you're in China or Canton, Georgia. It doesn't matter if you're in, Italy or somewhere in Louisiana, right? Like the thrift and the soul, what you're talking about, like the sustenance soul.
Yes.
Like the feed your soul
yes.
food, the togetherness and the camaraderie. But I got to tell you, okay, so y'all, first of all, you want to go, if you want to win a copy of this book, which I know you do, I want you to go to my Instagram page and you're going to see it bright, bold, and beautiful right there. And you're going to tag me, tag Deborah, and or tag a friend, like us both, and you can enter to win a copy, and we'll announce the winner on Friday morning. So this was one of my favorite parts. So I was lucky enough, y'all, to blurb this book. And so sometimes what cookbook authors do is ask other, whatever, cookbook authors or chefs to blurb the book. So I got the ask from both Deborah's Publishers Company. I was like, yay! I mean, first of all, I was so excited to hear that you're writing a book. And then second of all, I was so honored that you would ask me. So thank you. And she's got the first chapter, not the back end, not the tuck behind everything else. The name of the first chapter is Cast-Offs and Throwaways.
Yes.
Bravo. Yes. Good for
yes.
you. And good for you if your editor was like, no, we can't do that. And you were like, yeah, I got to. So y'all, so let's talk a little bit about cast-offs and throwaways.
Yes. Yeah. I think, for me, cast-off and throwaways is basically what I grew up with. That was the basis of traditional African-American soul food. It's the cast-offs, it's the throwaways. We're talking, of recipes that have been handed down through slavery. And at that time, basically what you were getting was, what the master did not want. And, people were trying to do the best that they could to sustain themselves, to feed their families, their loved ones. And so they figured out, using their techniques they brought with them, and just spices and herbs on how to make basically something out of nothing.
Right.
And, to see now that kind of go full circle and become a trend, because we are all now, focused or hopefully on sustainability and understanding that relationship was happening, in communities years and years ago, completely years and years ago. So that chapter was very, very important to me, and definitely, again, through traveling, I found out that what we consider in the United States sometimes to be the cast off and throw away, it's not that in other countries and other cultures, not even close. So,
no, it's true. So I remember as a little kid, and it was terrifying as a little kid, like we'd have a barbecue, and next thing I know, there's some pig's head floating in a cast iron cauldron in the yard at my grandmother's house because they were making hog's head cheese, which I see recipe for. Now, from my childhood, which of course I didn't taste it as a kid, right? Because I had seen the floating head. But from my childhood, basically till I went to France and I was out in the country in France, where I was served fromage de tête, right? Like head cheese.
Yes.
So that whole, like I went from, oh my gosh, what is this? To, oh my gosh, look at this thing. Yeah.
We've got fancy head cheese.
Right. But I think that one of the things I love about this, and y'all, I want you to look at this book. If you go, so first of all, you can order it anywhere you normally order books. I always encourage you to reach out to your independent bookstores. Have you got copies of this at the restaurant for people in Atlanta?
Yes, I definitely do have copies
Head
at the
on
restaurant.
over. Get it directly from the source, y'all. As a cookbook author, I'm going to tell you that's a good thing. And I know we all love us some Amazon, but let's show some love for the independent bookstores. So the thing that I love about this too, I mean, Deborah, you're a genius. You're on a fish bone, and you've named it deep fried fish brittle. And I was like, because you know that's the best part. That's what I would call it, the chef's treat.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and you fry it hard enough, and it's just like a brittle and absolutely delicious. And then, you know, well, I grew up on that in Kansas City, Missouri, but then I find out, you know, through research that actually, you know, it's a part of the Asian culture too, that you can find it in Japan at little street markets and stuff. So, yeah.
It's so cool. I remember when my grandmother and my mom would fry fish growing up, like we would be snatching those tails off as soon as they come out of the grease, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah. And the crispier, the better.
Crispy. But then you've got bologna mousse.
Yeah.
I love that. Like the innovativeness. I think that the thing, y'all, that what Deborah, what you've done is foie gras dirty rice, right? So you've taken it's soul food, it's global food, and it's chef food. It's chef driven food. Like these are some of the dishes that you serve at your restaurant. Is this correct?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So and some of the things, they just make sense, you know, they make sense. Yeah.
But it's also, okay, well, the foie gras dirty rice might be a little hard for some folks, but this is all doable stuff. This is all very doable for a home cook. They're coming up into blueberry season. Look at this lemon blueberry buckle. Ooh.
And it's super, super easy. It really is. And absolutely delicious.
No, I love it. I know. I'm so excited. You know, people are always like, well, what's your favorite dish to cook? And I love to cook, but it's my standard response is, well, it depends on the time of year and what meal, right?
Yeah.
But
you know, my response is what I didn't cook the day before.
Like,
it's just what I didn't cook the day before.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's a very good idea. All right, Grandma Lou's spinach rice.
That's my grandmother's recipe.
I could do a backflip and backstep in that. Let's talk a little bit about that. So let's talk about some of the family recipes that made their way into the book.
Okay, don't kill me. I got to put you on hold because I'm getting low on my battery.
Oh, no.
And of course, I didn't plug it up. So give me 10 seconds, you guys. Keep talking, Virginia. Keep talking.
I'm going to talk to him for just a little bit.
Okay, perfect.
How about that?
Okay, all right.
It's not that way.
Okay. No, there we go.
Modern life. This is what it's like. Cookbooks with Virginia. So, y'all, this is the deal. I'm here today with Deborah Van Trece, chef and cookbook author, and got a great restaurant in Atlanta called Twisted Soul Cookhouse and Pours. Love it. It is when people have come into town wanting to know about restaurants that I think that folks should visit. First of all, it can be kind of tricky because I don't want to offend a friend, right? But what I do try to do, and what I always try to do, is I try to celebrate. First of all, I try to celebrate female chefs because I think that that's important. And then another thing that's important is I want to show the diversity of the South and the diversity of the cuisines in the South, and mix it up, right? Like, so if people are going to come to town, I think they're going to only go to the famous restaurants or the fancy restaurants. Nope, we're not going to do that. And if people think we're only going to eat barbecue and fried chicken and biscuits, which is not a bad life, but we're not going to do that either. So anyway, so when folks come into town, what I often do, or if I can't bring with them, then I'll suggest for them to definitely. All right, so let's talk about some of the family recipes that made their way into your book. Now,
okay, ready. I've got energy now. Family recipes, you know, there's a lot. And at a point I thought to myself, oh my God, they're going to get so sick of hearing about my family. But, you know, I have good memories and good stories talking about the family. So I go through quite a few recipes with my family. I have everyone cooked well. All the women cooked, the men cooked. Barbecues were huge, coming from Kansas City. So I got to see a lot. And, you know, as an only child, I would love sitting in the kitchen and talking to whoever was cooking, and they liked the company, not realizing I was actually paying attention and helping here and there and learning and retaining so much. But I have my Aunt Lucille, her pound cake. She did 7-Up pound cake. That was a big one for her. And I have such fond memories of, the whole 7-Up thing. Because other than 7-Up, there was what we called in Kansas City, the cheap pop that cost 10 cents. I think it was called like Check or something like that.
Yep.
So that was what was usually bought by like the case loads, but the special stuff was the 7-Up. And my aunt would share 7-Ups with me when it was just me and her around. But basically, it was really more for stomach aches and to make the pound cake. So I thought I have to include this pound cake. I think you just mentioned Grandma Lou's spinach rice. That was my grandmother. A little play on hers. I added a few things to it, but it was to make me eat spinach. And so she thought, put some of her favorite things in it, and she'll love it. And I absolutely loved it. There's the short ribs, I think, that come from my grandmother's like Manischewitz ideas. She had Manischewitz that used to, of all things, red wine stayed in the refrigerator. It was only for you to take a little bit of a glass, like once a week for medicinal purposes only, because my grandmother otherwise never drank.
Right.
But every week she'd have a glass of Manischewitz, for her blood or whatever it was that the story was back then.
Her nerves.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. Exactly.
It's good for the nerves.
Yeah. And, just big jugs of this stuff was around for this woman who didn't drink. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to cook with it. Let's just do that. So that's what we did. But it's tons and tons of recipes that are in the book that really go back to my beginning.
It's so wonderful. It really is. And y'all, I'm going to show you this because I keep talking about how bright and colorful it is. But I think this photograph sort of defines it. It's all about like bold and funky and off the wall colors. And off the wall flavors, frankly, but they work, right? You can just see it work.
Yes. Yeah, and it's a combination of really flavors and culture, and using the spices and seasonings to support it. That's really all it is.
So I have this interesting thing, and I want to talk to you about it because I find that sometimes, and I would feel, I'm so glad to see this because I feel that sometimes. As a Southerner, like I just mentioned, like biscuits and fried chicken and barbecue, like, oh my gosh, it was a lady from Kansas City. Now that I think about it, a lady one time asked me, she heard I was from Atlanta, and she asked me if I'd ever met a Jewish person before. I was like, what? Like, I think there's this perception of Southerners, like all we do is eat biscuits and cornbread, fried chicken and barbecue. And I'm always like, y'all, we got the internet. And not only that, like there's all these different cultures. Like you've been fortunate enough to travel. I've been fortunate enough to travel, but there are all these cultures influencing Southern food here and now.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. I think the food scene in the South, is absolutely amazing. And does not get the credit that it deserves. Coming from outside of the South, I kind of had a really strange perspective of what is going on, in the South. And it's really weird because, it really, also goes back to just the language of the South, the dialects of the South.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think, we've put some negative connotations behind that for no reason at all, for no really good reason at all, and it's somewhat has caused people who have not traveled much or who've not spent time in the South to think that, okay, yeah, they're just a bunch of country bumpkins that are,
Yeah. I
just
mean, people
bouncing
hear my
around.
accent sometimes and
Yeah.
they automatically make all these assumptions.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
about education, about
Yes.
race, about
Yes.
politics, about
Yes.
you name it.
Yes.
And where it comes into the food, and someone's asking, John is asking, who's the chef and the name of the author. So John, this week it's the Twisted Soul Cookbook, and I'm so happy to have Chef Deborah Van Trece here with me. Thank you so much for joining in today. I think the other thing is that one of the things that I truly believe is that Southern cuisine, while we have the traditional recipes, it's a living, breathing, growing thing.
Yes, it
right?
is. Yes, it is.
We can't stay still. We have to. I mean, for you and I, all we have to do is take a little drive down Buford Highway and we can see what's happening right here in our own backyard. And as a recipe developer and a cookbook author, or you as a restaurateur, why wouldn't we want to incorporate some of those flavors?
Exactly.
Right there, right?
Exactly. It's like I don't want to do food that just remains stale and stagnant and dated. I'm always, thinking what's next. And there are those recipes that, I think, okay, they're just perfect the way they are.
Right.
But that's still a personal preference because somebody along the way is going to come through and say, what if I change it to this? And I'm open-minded enough to say, okay, well, I'll try that. And it may change my perspective of it. But, I think that, food is, a fluid thing and what's happening with it, and then being able to even get ingredients that are, outside, of your local area. And familiarizing yourself with them and the techniques, because like for me, DeKalb Farmers Market is a field trip.
Oh my God.
It's,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, how many decades have you been going there? And you're just like, you go in there and it's like a kid at Toys R Us and back in the day. Like,
exactly. Wow. What is it for? And, just even looking at the spices. Some days I just go and stare at spices. And quite often I buy things having no idea what it is, no idea, and I just know I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to go back, I'm going to do some research and I'm going to figure out how to make this work. So,
now this is a dangerous question to ask with 5 minutes left, because I feel like that you and I know that you and I could talk for hours. But I've been really struggling lately with like the appropriation and colonization of recipes.
Yes.
Right? So I fully understand it's wrong when someone like blatantly steals something, opens a restaurant, makes a ton of money, and doesn't credit the person or the culture that gave it to them.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, obviously that's not right. Or even worse, when you have a situation where someone's opened a restaurant, hired the people whose food it is, and there's not any sort of reciprocation there. How do you handle that? Like, as an African-American, as a Black woman, as a chef, how do you handle, like, well, what are you doing making Italian food? I mean, is that appropriation in a way, right? So, like, I know it's complicated.
Yeah, I do think it's complicated. And what I try to do is make sure that I do some of the research and I know about the history of it and where it came from and why it's there. And I try to make sure that I familiarize myself, and also if it's in the restaurant, my staff, so they have an idea of where this came from. Yeah, and it is a respect thing, and it's a chance to educate, which I always love an opportunity to educate people. So I think it is to be expected. And I think it's a wonderful thing because it shows our similarities. The food space, is a great space for all of us to share ideas and for all of us to come together. So, I think, for me, just the idea of the traveling and learning about food and then coming back to duplicate it, it's one of the greatest compliments that you could give. It's just making sure that you also know the history and you talk about it, you talk about it and don't try to claim it as your own.
Right. No, I love traveling. I realize that as soon as I go somewhere and I eat something, what I do when I come home is there's one dish that like stuck in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I want
Mm-hmm.
to I want to
Yeah.
figure it out. Went to Iceland, came home and made the steam bread. Went to Croatia, came home and made the Kitchn. Went to Tuscany or, went to Italy, the Piedmont area, and came home and made this like chocolate dessert.
Yeah.
Am
Yeah.
I going to claim that it's mine? No.
Yeah.
Am I going to
No.
claim that I'm an expert in Icelandic cuisine? Absolutely not. Right?
Yeah.
Do I think it has a place? Sure, that I can make this recipe and maybe translate this recipe into a cookbook for home cooks. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. It is like you said, it's about that respect and
Yeah.
gosh, it's so true. Foods can bring us to the table, and I think that we need that more than
Yeah.
anything.
I agree. I agree.
I got to give a shout out to our girl here.
Miss Tiffany, yes.
Tiffany. So speaking of beautiful table, look at that beautiful table. Look at all those colors.
We had a great time that day. We really, really did.
That is so much fun. So for y'all that we're at our end of time. So if you want to know more about Deborah, I want you to please visit her website, right? And you can Google her. She was on the Today Show this morning. That girl is on fire. I love that. Oh, she's on the Today Show, and then she's up here in Virginia. You're hooking the girl up on that one. Thank you for that, right?
Got you covered. Got you covered.
I appreciate it. I can't wait till we can get to cook together. I
know. It's been too long. Yeah.
Way too long. So, okay, I'm going to wrap it up with 5 little questions. Y'all, I've been trying to get it where I don't tell people what I'm going to ask. So I kind of gave Deborah a few snippets. What is the last cookbook you've read from or cooked from other than your own?
Ooh, I would say, Jubilee.
Yeah.
Tony Tipton Martin, Jubilee. Yeah.
That's such a beautiful book.
Yeah. But Princess Pamela Soul Food Cookbook is I carry it around. I have one of the original copies. And it's in a baggie. It's so old. Yeah, but that one is I carry it with me everywhere.
That's fantastic. Oh, that's wonderful. I've been trying to email Tony to get her on, but she's so busy with her new Illustrated and all that. I'm so proud and happy for her though. All right. So what's your most indispensable cooking tool?
Cast iron skillet.
I love that. And I love it. I have to tell you, I've been doing this now for a couple months. I started asking questions in January. Haven't had the same answer twice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but you're right. Cast iron skillet. Let's talk about it. Why is it the most indispensable cooking tool?
The history behind it. Mm-hmm. I have one that belonged to a great grandmother that, I still use. It's just, and then for me, it's everything about soul food, the tenacity of it, the strength, and it just, cooks things really, really well. That's it.
No, cast iron. That's it. So, all right. We have one question here. Where is the farmer's market? So, Regina, in Atlanta, there's a really famous place called the DeKalb Farmers Market, which is actually not a farmer's market. It's more like a Home Depot, International Home Depot for food.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
It's really
amazing. It's like if you come to Atlanta, you want to go visit. If you're interested in cooking, you want to go visit.
No, it's definitely a great place. So, okay, Chef, of the 5 flavors, sour, salty, bitter, sweet, and savory, what's your favorite? What's your go-to?
Salty. Salty. Yeah.
Now that question has been duplicated, but not as often as I would think. So salty. Yeah, I get that. Like salt brings it, right? Like sometimes it brings it too much. But
it does sometimes. Sometimes it does, So, it's like sometimes I bite into something and say, oh my God, this is so good. It's a little salty, but oh my God, it's so good. So
there's sometimes things are like just over the line. I find just over the line enough. That it's more than it should be, probably. It's delicious.
It's delicious. Right? Exactly.
Deliciously too salty. Deliciously too bitter. So, okay, so now you and I, you're on TV, you've been on God's Grocery Games, you've been here and there and the other one, you're on TV all the time now. Now we both know that not everybody you see on TV is as nice as they look like, right?
Right.
That's not the question. Don't worry.
That's not the question, please.
We're not going to talk about that. No, my head, my chip in my head might explode if I start talking about nasty people on TV. So, if you have a chance, which I know you don't, who is one of your favorite people to watch? Who is one of your people that you see on television that you have a lot of respect for? Cooking chef, celebrity chef, something like that. Who is someone that you care to pay attention to?
There's a young guy out of Louisville who calls himself Super Chef. And I love his story. He's got 2 or 3 restaurants. The food is outrageous, like breakfast food, like way over the top. It sounds like the guy's on drugs and cooking up recipes, but it's like he's such a gentleman. And, he came from being homeless and has worked himself, through the ranks, where he owns several restaurants, and he competes quite often. He wins a lot. So I went up against him in a competition, and it came down to me and him, and he beat me. He won, but I followed him, and I respect him so much.
That's so
Super
cool.
Chef Daryl Ferguson. Yes.
Oh yeah, no, that I didn't recognize Super Chef. I'm sorry about that, but I have heard the name Daryl Ferguson. I'm definitely check them out. Yeah, those competitions are crazy because it's like it's literally the edge of the knife, right? Like, like you could go one way or the other, and but one way or the other, we know that your food, win, lose, or draw, we know that your food is delicious. All right, I'm going to wrap it up with, what is one of your favorite food memories, maybe that you share in this book?
Ooh, it's not really in the book. It is kind of inspiring, the bologna mousse thing. I know it's kind of a push, but when I was growing up, my mom would, on her payday, we'd go to the grocery store, and it was a deli, a Jewish deli, in the middle of a Black neighborhood, but they had incredible deli meats. And my mom would go on payday, she'd buy like a quarter pound of, I don't know how many deli meats, and this great bread and pickles, and she'd come back and we'd have sandwiches and chips, and the sandwich would be stacked high and have all these different meats on it. And for me, it was one of the best times, with my mom, just go, and it's like she really wasn't cooking. We're just making sandwiches. But that memory, it had everything on it. It was head cheese on it. There's ham. There's, what did we call it? Liver cheese, we call it. Yeah. All of this would be on this sandwich, stacked to the brim. And that's was some of the greatest, memories I've had. It's just sitting there, that and Thanksgiving, and watching her cook Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, man, those memories, that's it, right? That is it.
Yeah.
Something as simple as what you just described. Yeah. Getting to have a sandwich with your mama as a kid, right?
Yeah, just me and her one-on-one, we would get to do that. So
that's so awesome. Deborah, I cannot thank you enough for coming on today. And I'm so proud and happy for you. And just
thank you.
Stars, and shout you from the moontops. Y'all, so thank you so much for coming. I'm going to wrap it up with everybody else, but you take care, Deborah, and I hope to see you soon.
All right, thank you.
Awesome. Okay.
Take care. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Yeah.
All righty.
Y'all. Thank you so much for joining me. My cheeks hurt from smiling so much. I'm so excited and just so glad for Deborah and the success. I want y'all to look at this book. I want you to order this book. I know that you can find it at Deborah's restaurant here in town. You've also in Atlanta. You can also order it from Amazon. I'll have the link up on my website. And if you have any tips or techniques that you want to share, you can email me to my website. And thanks so much for watching. And happy Easter, happy Good Friday, happy Happy Passover to those last week. And thank you so much for watching. Bon appetit, y'all. Bye-bye now.